Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're chiming in around the world. Welcome to the Mindset Mastery Unveil Your Personal Potential workshop. I'm 𝐈𝐧𝐢𝐭𝐢𝐚, self-care strategist for female entrepreneurs who are service providers in the wellness space. I'm very passionate about helping the women I work with to unlock their true potential by mastering their mindset, as well as to learn to prioritize themselves so they can show up as their best version, and not only for others, because that's important, of course, but the people in their lives, but the things that they do in life and for themselves. I serve women, service providers, and entrepreneurs and help them feel nourished, complete, rejuvenated, able to take their life back, have more time for themselves, and really feel good about themselves. Because that is one of the things that I've been told repeatedly. I just want to feel really good about myself. I want to feel good again. Through my coaching, I help my clients overcome emotional burnout, achieve personal and professional goals, feel nourished, complete, rejuvenated, able to take their life back, have more time for themselves, really feel good again about themselves so that by the end of our work together, they are feeling whole, they're feeling rejuvenated, they're feeling nourished, they're ready to take on the world and to build a fulfilling and balanced life. Now, with that being said, if you're here today and you don't fit that bill, that's okay, because today's workshop is not just for the women that I serve, but for all of us who want to be able to better understand ourselves, understand how we think, and how it's possible to change our minds. So the goal today is really, we're going to explore how our mindset has a profound impact on our personal growth and our success. You're going to learn how your experiences shape your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and ultimately your results, which then reinforce your beliefs. We'll reflect on how your past experiences have clues to help you identify your growth gaps so that you understand how they influence your current mindset. And you'll learn how to identify key areas for improvement in your personal, financial, professional, and legacy goals. Finally, my overall goal really is to provide you with tools to help you develop actionable steps to overcome mindset barriers and achieve your goals. So I hope that you have a pen ready and whether it's a notepad, whether you're using your phone, an app on your phone, get ready to take some notes so that, because I really truly want to be able to pour into you and help you to really unlock that potential that we all have within us. But before we dive in today, I want to really share a little bit about my journey and how mastering my mindset has transformed my life. I was born in 1963 to a white woman and a black man. I grew up facing significant challenges. Both my parents, they never married, they didn't get married, they didn't stay together. And I experienced also emotional and physical abuse, for which that deeply impacted my self-esteem over my lifetime. From a very young age, as far back as 8 years old, I learned to prioritize other people's needs over my own, often neglecting my own well-being in the process. I always felt that if I could give enough and take care of others enough, that my worth would be validated, that I would be seen as worthy to be in this world. My early career was marked by hard work and perseverance. Um, I have been in the industry of law for over 4 decades. And being in this industry has its challenges, because the higher up the ladder that you move, the more money that you make, the more responsibilities that you have, the harder you work, the longer hours, and that can really tap into your quality of life. And that's what I found was happening to me. But also, by lack of self-care and emotional awareness, I was a high achiever, a people pleaser. I always wanted to lend a hand, not really knowing how to say no. No is a complete sentence, by the way, but I didn't know how to say no because I wanted to be seen as agreeable. I wanted people to like me. I wanted people to feel like they could count on me. Even when I was tired, I would still give, give, and give. Now I realized that I was often giving from an empty cup most days. Due to my limiting beliefs, though, around my self-worth, I believed that I had to work exceptionally hard to achieve success. I felt that I not only needed to work hard to obtain the things I desired, the things that I achieved, but I also believed that I had to work equally hard, maybe even harder than everyone else, in order for me to keep my successes. Again, that just came back because I believed that I wasn't worthy. And I also felt that others felt that I wasn't worthy. I was actually thinking that other people looked at me and thought, yeah, no, you don't really deserve this. And so I worked even harder to try to prove them wrong, but it really was a vicious cycle. And this belief stemmed from a really deep-seated notion that I didn't truly deserve success due to my upbringing, as I said, growing up to being born to a white man and a Black woman who never married, growing up in social housing. My mom had two more children. She had three brown babies with no father in sight. My stepfather, my mother did marry my stepfather, but they only remained together for a very short time. And then they divorced. And so here we are growing up in social housing with a single white mother who had three brown babies in the 60s, which of course we know was a very tumultuous time for, especially over here in North America, in the USA especially, where, people, there was still so many things going on, the civil rights movement. And my mom also struggled financially, and really the only man that was a constant in our home, she brought him in when I was 8. He was abusive to her. So uh, again, as I said earlier, at 8 years old, I learned to actually start to become very self-aware around how I can manipulate, and I mean this in a good way, manipulate that person from putting his attention on my mother to putting his attention to me, focusing on me when I needed help with my schoolwork. I didn't really necessarily always need help, but I knew that if I could take his attention away from my mom, he wouldn't hurt her, and hence he would help me. And I felt that, again, that was that intuitive nature of mine to really want to be able to help, to being again, thinking that I had to be that person to step in. And I was only 8. I also believe that to keep what I achieved, I needed to push myself beyond my limits constantly. And I also believed that it was expected. So as a result, I experienced burnout multiple times. I'd push myself relentlessly without recognizing the signs or taking action to prevent it. And this cycle of overworking and neglecting my well-being led to physical and emotional exhaustion, impacting my overall quality of life. So I hope that you are understanding me a little bit more as I'm sharing a little bit of a background of who I am. Back in 2018, after years, actually decades really, of feeling lost and unfulfilled, on the brink out of burnout yet again, I did the only thing that I felt was that I could do, that was in my power, and that was to take back my time. And what I did was I quit my full-time job and I stepped into entrepreneurship in the industry that I had been in for decades, but I was able to create my own business so that I could take back the time that I felt a slave to, which opened up more time for me to get to know myself and to experience life in a way that I hadn't in a very long time. That was back in March of 2018. I began my journey of self-discovery and personal growth, and started to understand the importance of mindset in achieving personal and professional success, and began implementing self-care practices. And when I first entertained the idea of becoming a life coach, I did that in December of 2018. Now, through reflection and learning, this is what I've done. I've developed my philosophy around what I call the trigger cycle, the emotional trigger cycle. And this is what I believe is what we experience. So we have experiences, right? And I believe that those experiences are going to create how we look at things, how we decide a meaning for something, and that becomes a belief. Our beliefs then motivate our thoughts, how we think about a certain thing, and especially if something is similar to that belief, maybe that experience. So our belief is going to motivate our thoughts. Our thoughts in turn are going to influence our emotions, because how we think is going to, we're going to start feeling a certain way. Our emotions in turn then dictate our actions, how we are going to respond to a situation. And especially if you're being emotionally triggered, because again, the emotions take over, then what's going to happen is your actions are going to produce results, good or bad, whichever frame of mind, state of being that you're in. And in turn, those results that you receive from the actions that you take that are produced, those are going to reinforce your beliefs. So this framework helped me understand how my past experiences shaped my mindset, and how I could change my beliefs and my thoughts to create better outcomes if I was willing to take a look back through my past and unwrap all that I had learned so that I could start reframing my limiting beliefs to more empowering ones. So today, I am dedicated to helping other people on their journey to master their mindset, achieve their full potential with coaching programs focusing on self-care, emotional awareness, personal growth, to empower my clients to live fulfilling lives. So with that being said, that is why I'm excited to share with you what I've learned and still learn, as I believe that learning is a tool to help us improve our lives to be the best version of ourselves. And I hope that you will find them as impactful as I have. So first, let's start by understanding what mindset is. Your mindset is essentially a collection of beliefs and attitudes that shape how you interpret and respond to different situations in your life. It's like a lens through which you view the world. So having a positive growth-oriented mindset is crucial for personal development because what that does is it allows you to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles. In contrast, a fixed mindset can limit your potential by making you believe that your abilities and your intelligence are static and unchangeable. So let me introduce to you, as I was saying, the emotional trigger cycle, which is my philosophy. This framework helps us understand how our experiences influence our beliefs, thoughts, emotions, actions, and ultimately our results. So first, let's go a little bit deeper. First, our experiences create our beliefs. For instance, if you have faced rejection in the past, you might develop a belief that you are not worthy of love. This belief can really then motivate your thoughts. So with a belief of unworthiness, you might have self-critical thoughts like, I'm not good enough, or nobody likes me. These thoughts will influence your emotions. Self-critical thoughts, they often lead to feelings of sadness, inadequacy. Our emotions then dictate our actions, as I was saying, right? They dictate how we show up. And when you feel inadequate, you might avoid social interactions or opportunities that could lead to rejection because you've already told yourself, nope, that's not going to work. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy and deserving of that. So why put myself out there? Because then if I do and it doesn't work out the way I want, then I'm going to be able to see, oh yeah, I'm right. And it's going to make me feel even worse. So I'd rather protect myself, right? Instead of saying, you know what, this opportunity, if it didn't work out, this opportunity was a learning experience for me. What could I learn from it? What's the next step for me? Looking for a solution rather than focusing on the why it didn't work out. In other words, the obstacle or the belief that you think you're not good enough or worthy or deserving of something based on your self-esteem, based on the worth that you put on yourself. So again, it's really getting very clear, starting to look at how you look at your experiences, because again, they are going to influence our thoughts, which are going to influence our emotions. And when we get our emotions and our thoughts start to build off one another, and in turn, what they do then, they produce those actions, right? The things that we do. So if you're, for example, avoiding social interactions because you are feeling that I don't want to be around people because they're going to see me as not worthy or undeserving, they're not going to like me. You might experience loneliness. You miss out on opportunities to build meaningful relationships, right? So you find yourself without friends, without a community. And I think community is so important, having a circle of people in your life to go do life together, because we were not born and put on this earth to go through life alone. Not just the people that we end up, our romantic partners we end up marrying and starting a family with. I'm not talking about just that. We also with community, having other people in our life. So it's really important that you look at community as an opportunity for you to really put yourself in a place where you feel supported. However, if you are avoiding social interactions and you start to feel lonely and you're missing out on opportunities to build those meaningful relationships, these are going to reinforce your beliefs. Your loneliness and the missed opportunities are going to reinforce the belief that you're not worthy of love, that you're not good enough, that nobody likes you. And that's going to continue the cycle. So this cycle of our mindset is really shaping our lives because it's the beliefs that we have that influence us. And by understanding and changing our beliefs and thoughts, we can influence our emotions and actions and ultimately the results we achieve. So understanding this cycle is the first step in mastering your mindset. It helps you become aware of how your past experiences shape your current reality and gives you the tools to break negative cycles and create positive, empowering ones. And we're going to get to that, okay? So now let's go a little bit deeper. As I was saying, the experiences, they create our beliefs, right? They shape our core beliefs about ourselves in the world, right? If you had supportive parents, as an example, who encouraged you, you might develop a belief that you're capable and valued. Conversely, if you faced criticism or neglect, you might develop a belief that you're not good enough or undeserving. Let's talk about women as an example. A woman who's often praised for her achievements, who was often praised for her achievements in school, she grew up that way. She may believe that her worth is tied to her accomplishments, leading to her developing a high achieving mindset that potentially could lead to perfectionism, always being that, always being perfect, right? Whatever it is that she has to do to be perfect, to be liked, to be seen as, she's accomplished, that she's good enough, that she's worthy. Let's talk about men as an example. So let's say you're a man who grew up in an environment where showing emotions was discouraged. And I know most of the men that I've talked to, this has been their experience. So you might believe that expressing your feelings is a sign of weakness, which can lead to suppressed emotions and potential stress. So let's talk about how our beliefs motivate our thoughts. It's our core beliefs that have the most influence over our thoughts. There's usually like one core belief that we've doubled down on that creates that mental narrative that aligns with our belief, like that core belief. There's something. If you believe, as an example, that you are capable, your thoughts will reflect confidence and optimism. Right? However, and your actions too, because you will show up that way. Now, confidence, by the way, is not something that you automatically have. The same with courage. It's not something that you automatically have, but it is having the ability to to actually be able to, I would say, sell yourself on yourself that you are good enough, and being able to say, yeah, I am. Because for me, I truly believe that every human being in this world was born to add value. Okay. That was a belief that took me a long time to recognize was also for me as well, because I didn't believe that for a long time, but I truly believe that. So it's really being able to believe that you are born to add value. So looking for those solutions, looking for the gifts that you have, because we're all given gifts and you are capable, and then your thoughts will reflect the confidence and the optimism around it. However, if you believe you're not good enough, your thoughts may be self-critical, negative. Your negative self-talk will be on a loop in your head, and you might even stop believing in your abilities. Your second guess. For example, the high achieving woman that I talked about, she might constantly think, I need to be perfect to be valued, driving her to overwork and stress, which can ultimately lead to burnout, right? Always being on, always focusing on doing another thing. How can I make this thing good enough for someone else to see and value it? Because she's looking for the external validation that she's good enough, that what she's doing is good enough, right? The man, for example, who might be suppressing his emotions might think, I need to handle this on my own, right? And that's going to lead to isolation and reluctance to seek help, causing misunderstandings and cracks in relationships. So becoming distant, not being open to conversation, not wanting to share how he feels for fear of being seen as weak. And so instead of getting the help, he ends up just isolating himself more. People don't understand what's going on. That could put cracks in relationships. And, and that can include that if you are married and you have children, your spouse, your children are not going to understand because you're not sharing. And so they're going to start then putting it back on themselves. They're going to blame themselves for how you're feeling, for how you're reacting, thinking they've done something wrong because you're not opening up. Now, our thoughts, again, influence our emotions, as I was saying. They directly impact our emotional state. So positive, empowering thoughts will lead to positive emotions, while negative, self-critical thoughts will lead to negative emotions. For example, the woman who's striving for perfection, she might feel constant anxiety and pressure due to her self-imposed high standards, right? Because she grew up in a world where when she was younger, and again, like I was saying, the clues are in our past, okay? But she grew up, when she was younger, she was always told that, praised for her good grades, praised for the work she did. And as she got older, this perfectionist attitude took hold, wanting to please and look for that external validation. And so she's going to feel constantly anxious and have that pressure due to her self-imposed high standards of, I'm only valued when I can do for others and they validate back to me that it's good enough, okay? The man who's avoiding his emotional expression might feel frustration and loneliness because he's suppressing his need for connection and support, just like women, because we all need support. And he might feel a sense of hopelessness, loneliness, feeling like he's on an island all by himself because he's not getting the support he needs. So if that's you and you're keeping yourself from expressing how you feel, getting that support, feeling like you're not on an island all alone, this is what you're doing to yourself. You're basically allowing yourself to suffer in silence. So now let's talk about our emotions, because our emotional state, it drives our actions and behaviors. So positive emotions, they'll lead to proactive and constructive actions, right? Because we're in a positive state of being. We are in a good state of being. We are looking for solutions. We're focusing on how can I do this rather than I can't do this, which is the negative, right? The negative emotions can lead to avoidance and destructive behaviors. So for example, the woman might be feeling anxious and pressured and might overcommit to work, neglecting self-care and her personal relationships, because again, she's looking for the external validation, looking to get that feeling from other people, that notification from other people, that validation that she is good enough, that she is worthy and deserving. So she will, at her own detriment of her own health, be taking on more, not knowing how to say no, because she's allowing herself to be that. She wants to be the person that people look to, that come to do things because they know that she will say yes. But she's not recognizing that she's not protecting her time and energy. So that doesn't help her and it doesn't help them. She's not going to do as good a job if she's overtired all the time and burning out. And her relationships could suffer because she's not spending time with the people in her life, her family. She might not even be spending time with her friends. She doesn't have time for anything else. That was me. That's why I took back my time back in 2018, because that was me. Men, on the other hand, feeling frustrated and lonely, might withdraw from social interactions, further isolating themselves, right? So, someone will ask you to do something. Let's go and do something. Family will say, let's, get together. Friends and family will say, let's get together. And you'll see, you don't, because you're not feeling good about yourself. You are going through something and you're not allowing yourself to get that support. And so you further isolate yourself. And again, further punishing yourself. Again, no one else is doing this. So I hope that you are seeing the bigger picture here, because it's really important that you start to understand that we have control over some of this, and I'll get to that. So now our actions. Let's talk about how our actions, they can lead to tangible results in our lives, right? Positive actions generally lead to positive results, while negative actions generally lead to negative outcomes. So if the woman who's overcommitting and neglecting self-care leads to burnout and strained relationships for her as the outcome from her not taking care of herself, feeling like her worth is validated by always saying yes and overcommitting herself, her time and energy are at risk, and her relationships. What that's doing is she's, again, reinforcing the negative results. She's on that loop of again, allowing herself to believe that, the belief being, I'm only worthy and deserving if I get the external validation. So I have to say yes to things. So my thoughts are saying I must say yes, even though I know that I don't have the time to do something or I don't have the energy, but I have to say yes to it, which then my emotions get in the way because maybe I'm in the middle of it and people are coming to me and I'm saying, I don't have time right now, and you're snappy. And then your actions, again, that's how you react. And you're then, of course, working and trying to get out this, good result of whatever tasks that you're working on. And you produce that. And maybe you don't get your result, or that you get from that is not praise, is not, it could come back with, well, this could have been done better, or there was a mistake here. And instead of you looking at that proactively saying, okay, this isn't about me and my worth and me being a good person. This is about what I did, the work that I did. So how can I do it better? What are the mistakes? How can I fix them and learn from that, right? But instead you're looking at, oh, right there's external validation and I'm not worthy and deserving. So I have to do more in order to get that external validation that I'm looking for. So I hope that makes sense. Now, men, on the other hand, withdrawing and isolating themselves might lead to a lack of support, a supportive network, increased stress, and for not only himself, but his family, right? So again, they're not understanding what's going on. They start feeling like they've done something wrong. There's like tension in the home. You're not talking to each other in a way that you're not sharing what's going on to let them know it has nothing to do with them. Or you might say it has nothing to do with you, but you won't explain it. And so they still feel that they're at fault. And so there's that stress in the home, and there's not only for him, but the family. And so there's that tension. And so it's really important that you start thinking about, how are you as a person? What is this? Are you finding any of this your typical way of being, and being able to say, oh, okay, that is me. So how can I change that? So then again, we're going to get to the results, the last part of this, where our actions reinforce our initial beliefs, which creates that self-perpetuating cycle. While positive results reinforce those positive beliefs, also do negative results reinforce those negative beliefs. So the woman who's burnt out and her relationships are strained is reinforcing her belief that she has to be perfect to be valued, and continuing that cycle of overworking and stress, leading her to ignore further signs of burnout until she struggles to the point where she can't work, where she has to stop everything so she can recover. Now, let me tell you a quick story. I did some market research with some women, quite a few women, about their burnout history. And one woman in particular was telling me that she has a successful business. It's still successful, but it was a family-run business, and her children and her spouse were telling her that she needed to slow down, to take time for herself. But she kept feeling like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do more. And she ended up pushing herself to the point where she burnt out, and she had to take time for herself to recover. And it was a long process for her to recover, because she had gotten so deep into the burnout phase that she had a lot of symptoms that she had to really overcome. Her saving grace was that it was a family-run business, and she was able to do little. She could step back and allow the other family members to step up and to keep the business running while she healed. So there were signs all the way up. She was ignoring them. And so then her family stepped in, and she was ignoring them, until finally her body and her mind in tandem stepped up and said, no more. And she was forced to stop and take time to take care of herself. This is what I'm trying to let you know, that when you are not listening to yourself, this can happen to you. That's why it's like listening, learning about yourself, being able to say, okay, this is my typical way of being. How can I change that? Well, it's looking back at your past and looking at the clues and how those things in your life have shaped you to be who you are. Again, it comes back to mindset, because we do have those beliefs, things that have been embedded in our subconscious for all of the years up until even up to this moment, and that will continue on unless you start to take time to focus and really actually help yourself not allow your thoughts to be the ones that dictate how you're feeling all the time based on an old belief system, and rather like taking that time to say, okay, that, I got to start asking myself some questions around this. How old was I? What was going on? How did I feel at the time? Why did I take this on as my belief? Is it true? Does it serve me? Does it help me to get, further into my career? Does it help me to get further into life and living that quality of life? And if the answer is no, then you start asking yourself more questions like, how can I reframe how I used to feel about something? How can I change my mind? Because you can. You change your mind, you change your life. Okay. Now let's talk about the man. Okay. We talked about the man who uh, feels like I have to do all of this alone, and he further isolates himself and he doesn't get that support. That lack of support and increased stress is going to reinforce his belief that expressing emotions is a weakness and will keep him in a continuing cycle of suppression and isolation, furthering the strain and the tension in the home, because the family isn't going to understand, or the friends are not going to understand, especially if he decides, I'm not going to show up for my friends either. Like, he's going to start dodging your calls. You start dodging their calls. You start, further isolating. You start coming up with excuses like, oh no, I can't go out tonight. I've got, a family thing, when it's not true. The only thing that's true is that you don't want to go, because you're just in that state of being, and you've allowed yourself to get so deeply into that state of being that you're not getting that support. You are isolating yourself, and you're further allowing yourself to believe that I just can't ask anyone for help. I have to do this alone. But you're not doing anything proactive to help yourself except staying isolated and lonely and feeling hopeless. So understanding this cycle, the emotional trigger cycle, is going to be the first step to you mastering your mindset. It helps you first to become self-aware of how your past experiences shape your current reality. And it gives you the tools, which are the clues, to help you break negative cycles and create positive, empowering ones. And we're going to talk about that shortly, because I want you to be able to create an action plan to help you, so that you can work through this cycle and take back control over being reactive, take back control over that reactive state of being that you usually find yourself in, and to instead becoming more proactive in how you respond to things. Okay? Let me share again a personal story about me. I've told you a little bit about myself, but I want to illustrate the power of mindset and overcome. So growing up, I had some deep-seated beliefs, limiting beliefs around money. I used to believe that money was only for the privileged few, that I wasn't worthy of having it because I grew up poor, that I grew up in social housing. I saw my friends who had money. They lived in big homes. They had both parents. That reinforced this belief, because I lived in social housing to a white mother with 3 brown babies. We barely were getting by. She was always struggling. And so that reinforced my belief that money wasn't for me. I felt that money was meant to punish us, because we were always struggling, and that it was always elusive. It was always out of reach. One particular incident stands out vividly for me. A girl invited another one of our friends to her birthday party, but she didn't invite me. That was right in front of me. She asked her, I think it was on the Friday, my party's tomorrow. And she invited her right in front of me. And then the conversation just went on as normal. And that experience really stung and further solidified my belief that I was not worthy or deserving of good things, including money, including to be seen as valuable in the world, because clearly she saw me as less than and wasn't invited. So as I grew up, these beliefs continue to shape my financial behaviors and my decisions. I believed that I had to work exceptionally hard to achieve any level of success. And even then, I felt I needed to work even harder to keep it. This belief stemmed from a deep-seated notion that I didn't truly deserve success. My background of growing up with a single mother who had 3 children and no stable financial support made me feel unworthy. I always saw my mother struggling, and so I learned to believe that money meant struggle. This feeling was compounded by the experiences of others projecting their fears and insecurities onto me as well, which I internalized as my own truth. So my mom, especially my mom, even like other family members, the fear around money, that we don't have enough. It's always out of reach. The fear of like, when am I going to have money to be able to meet this need that I need to pay for? The electricity, the rent, for food, to make sure her children had food on the table, to make sure that her kids who were growing had clothes that fit them, that were going, so that when they went to school, they wouldn't feel less than. Like, all of this stress on my mom. A significant turning point really came for me around money when I decided to confront my money beliefs directly. I have a coach. I do have a coach, and I believe in coaching because like, we're in the thick of things. We can't always see the answers. We can't always see the solutions. We're stuck in that loop. And so I truly believe that coaching has been valuable for me because it's helped me to see things that I might not have seen, because someone who's not in the thick of it can respond from from a place where they are not directly emotionally tied to it, right? And so in this coaching with her, my journey around money, I then transitioned. I wrote a heartfelt letter to my younger self, acknowledging the impact of my limiting beliefs around money, and expressed gratitude for the protection that they had provided for me, because I knew growing up, as I saw my mom struggle, that I needed to be able to protect myself around money. So I could always have that go-to to say, oh, I have to wait, or I can't buy that right now, and I know that I have to wait until I have money, or I don't want to put myself in that place where if someone asked me to go somewhere with them, like my friends would go shopping a lot, and I could say, no, that's okay. I have something else to do, and lie about it, knowing that I just don't have the money. I can't afford to go. My friends, I said, they came from money. And so I recognized that this was a pattern for me, that I protected myself by finding ways to avoid the avoidance, right? Again, avoiding being able to say like how I truly felt, like I just don't feel worthy and deserving to be around you guys. That's how I felt. I always felt like I wasn't really a part of the, I mean, even though they were great to me, I still felt like an outsider because I didn't have money. I couldn't afford to go shopping. And I always felt jealous of my friends. And so I decided to write this letter. So I outlined a new money motto. I created a new money motto, and I created a new manifesto for money, emphasizing wealth with purpose, success with kindness. And I reassured my younger self that I am now ready to take control and rise to my full potential, because I've recognized that money really is there to support me. It always has been, because I've always had food on the table. I've always had clothes on my back. My mom managed. And then growing up myself, even though I made poor money choices, I still always managed. I always found a way. I felt, having God in my corner, I always found a way. So I knew money's always been there. I always know that it's always going to be here to support me. I had to learn to reframe it, saying that money is a struggle, or money's here to punish me. Instead, looking at money as being that conduit, or that form of energy to use to buy things, to support my lifestyle, and looking at it from that place, being really respectful of money, and not treating it as something that I take, because I think I had that mindset. I got to get what I can get, right? And instead looking at it, it's like, okay, I go to work, I have a job, I make money. I use this money to pay for my rent. I use it for food. I use it for expenses, right? And looking at it from a positive, like being able to say, I'm so grateful that I have the ability to be able to do this. So I had to really, really change my mindset as I wrote the letter to myself. Through this process of self-reflection and intentional mindset shift, as I said, you can change your mind. I developed a new empowered perspective on money. I began to see money as a form of energy that supports my purpose, enables me to make a positive difference in the world. And I now believe that I am deserving of wealth and abundance, and that my work is guided by a higher purpose. I believe God is guiding me, and it's supported by, and I am also supported by incredible people in my life, because I believe community is important. We are not meant to go through life alone. I created a living income plan with specific goals for my coaching business. And it's not just about financial targets. It's really about aligning my financial goals with my core values, which are integrity, empathy, kindness, and courage. It's about creating a legacy of wellness that impacts not only my clients, but also their families and their communities. And so in my message to my younger self, I thanked her for keeping me safe. I acknowledged the role that the beliefs that I had previously played in my life. I also invited her to let go of the old mindset and join me on this new journey of growth and abundance. I reassured her that the new and improved Leslie is ready to embrace a future filled with purpose and success. So my story is not unique. It's only unique to me because it's my lived experience. But I know a lot of people who've had limiting beliefs around money, whether it's money or self-worth or being enough. It's all the same when it comes to the importance of understanding and changing our beliefs, because it is in the mindset. It's in the mindset shift, I believe. That's where we can transform our thoughts, our emotions, actions, and ultimately the results that we get into ones that truly empower us every day, so that we're reinforcing beliefs that are more empowering and are not bringing us down. And it's why I'm doing this masterclass, to help you as you journey to unlock your true potential. So reflecting on my past is crucial. I should say, reflecting on your past is crucial, but reflecting on my past was crucial for me. I had to learn, in order for me to grow, to move forward, I had to learn from before, how I grew up, my experiences, the thoughts that I had, the beliefs that I had, the experiences that I had, why I was believing certain things. It's why I believe when you go back into your past, that's where the clues are. It's in examining our history, our story, the way we grew up, our experiences, the people around us, the clues from our past. Those can help us identify the moments that significantly shaped our beliefs, our thoughts, emotions, and actions, including the ones that are passed down by our parents, okay, our generation before us. Because a lot of the time, as children, right, we don't have the ability to really to be able to source that, is this true? What mom and dad is telling me is a belief that I should believe. My grandma telling me, or my aunt and uncle are telling me, or just, adults in general are telling me. Are these beliefs something that I should take on as my own? We really don't have life experience, so we do at that time take them at face value. But over time, as we get older, those beliefs, either we can embed them more and more based on our experiences and allowing those beliefs to become something that we believe to be true, or we can say, I truly don't want that to be the truth. I don't really actually believe that that's the truth. Whether that is, for example, one of the things that I was told growing up was, you can't take it with you, so you should spend your money. Well, that really reinforced for me bad money behavior, because then I was racking up credit. I was spending every dollar that I got, instead of really looking at a way to, how can I set myself up for a successful future? So that was a belief that was passed down to me by an older generation. So when you understand that your experiences will allow you to recognize your patterns, both positive and negative, to show you what has been influencing your current behavior. And this awareness is really the first step in moving forward, making meaningful change, and closing the gaps between where you are now and where you want to be. So let's consider some key questions that can help you reflect on your past experiences and help you identify areas for growth. So number one, think about moments from your childhood, adolescence, or even recent years that have had a profound impact on you. What experiences from your past do you believe have shaped your beliefs and thoughts? Remember, I talked about the woman who got validation from, she did well in school. So she got that validation that, if she did well, she would get validated that her worth came from the external validation. So her experience was, the more I do for others, and if I can do a really good job, I'm going to get great feedback, right? But if I don't get the feedback I'm looking for, I'm going to take that on as I'm not worthy, and looking at the feedback as being maybe a way to grow, but also understanding too that sometimes we have to look at who's giving us the feedback, and if this person is really trying to harm you with their feedback or they're trying to help you. Meaning, for example, if you're in a work environment and you get feedback from someone like your boss or someone who is your manager or your leader, and they say, oh, this was really great. I love what this was a really great thing that you turned in, like this, for this project that we're working on. But I think that if you had done X, Y, and Z, I think this could have been much better. So you could have looked at that in a couple of ways. One, you could have looked at that as, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. I messed up. I made mistakes. Look at that. He or she is reinforcing that, see, I'm no good. I can't do this. I can't do anything right. Look at it. Oh, I see what you're saying. Let me look at that and become curious about the suggestions, looking at that deeper and saying, oh, I see what you're saying. I could actually improve. This is a way for me to improve. So it's looking at that person as maybe they are looking at your well-being and your improvement and saying it from that place instead of a space of you're not good enough, you're not worthy. So really think about your experiences and how they've shaped you, how you believe, your beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions, and how maybe you become a reactive person rather than proactively thinking, like, how can I respond to something, by taking a step back to think about it before you respond, right? I know sometimes it's hard in the moment to be able to do that, but this is something I want you to think about. Number two, how have your beliefs and your thoughts, your emotions and your actions? So this is where you're going to take some time to reflect on how your beliefs have driven your emotional responses and your behaviors over time. Are these beliefs ones of your own making, or were they passed down by the generation before you? And do they align with how you want to be living your life? Are they helping you? Are they helping you to grow and move forward and lead the life that you want to live? Or are they keeping you stuck from moving forward from the past? So that you can be in your present moment, working towards the future and your vision for yourself. Are you stuck in the way of thinking that money is evil, money punishes, money is a struggle? Are you in that frame of mind, or can you be in the frame of mind that I've always had money's always been there? It doesn't necessarily have been there in like quantities that I'm not rich, but money's always been there to help get, I've always had money there. It's always been there. It supported me in one way or another. It's always been here to support me. It's here supporting me now, and it always will be. So can you change that, right? So that you can start living the life that you want to live, so that you can start moving out of that. So let's break down a couple examples. One for the woman, one for the man, using the beliefs, thoughts, emotions, actions, and the results cycle that I talked about. So we're going to talk about the woman first. Her experiences in life could have formed the belief for her that I must be perfect to be valued, right? She's looking for that external validation. In her past, as a child, she was constantly praised for her academic achievement, criticized for any mistakes. And instead of her looking at being criticized, instead of looking at the positives, she's focusing on the negative, right? So this created her belief and her thoughts of, if I'm not perfect, people will think less of me. Okay, which those thoughts then influenced her emotions of anxiety and pressure to perform perfectly, right? So factor in her thoughts and her emotions, they're working in tandem. They are then dictating her actions of overworking, striving for perfection in everything that she's doing, and at all costs doing her best to avoid situations where failure is possible. And this overworking and striving for perfection is now producing her results, right? Achievements and recognition, but she's also burnt out and her relationships are strained. And because these are the results that she's seeing time and time again, because she believes that if she's not perfect, people will think, well, she's looking for external validation. Her results are reinforcing her beliefs that my worth is tied to my achievements. I must keep working hard to maintain my value. So you understand where that's coming from? And that's keeping her in a cycle where she's always chasing perfection and her well-being is sacrificed time and time again. So if that's you, maybe you need to take a pause and look like, where did this start? Where did this begin for me? Because the time, learning to manage your time and energy is going to be so key for you to be able to learn to say a couple of things. No, I'm not available to do this, or not right now. What's the timeline? Can we do this? This is like allowing yourself to take back control of that. But and really being able to say that my worth is not tied to the outcome of something. It's not tied to that. And it doesn't come from the external validation. It comes from within. I tell me my worth. So if you're always telling yourself that you're not worthy and deserving because that person didn't give you that validation, and even if you did a great job and they didn't validate it, or that person told you about something that could have been done better, it was great, but it could have been even more enhanced, and you focused on the negatives thinking, oh, I failed, you're not going to allow yourself to move forward. You have to look at your past because that's going to show you where this began so you can start making changes. Again, you change your mind, you change your life. So let's move on to example 2, the man's experience. In the man's experience that we talked about, for example, around asking for help or showing his emotions, his belief is that expressing emotions is a sign of weakness, right? This is based on his past experience where he grew up in an environment where showing emotions was discouraged and seen as weak. He was told that. He might have been told, like, stop crying. You're looking like, stop baby, things like that. Things that over time made him feel so uncomfortable showing his emotions because as soon as a tear would appear or he'd start to feel welling up, he was reminded of that you are weak if you show your emotions. So because of this belief, it has motivated his thoughts to, I need to handle my problems on my own, right? And then on top of that, because he believed that he was being weak if he expressed his emotions, if he expressed how he was feeling, that influenced his emotions of frustration and loneliness, making him feel hopeless and alone, which in turn will dictate his actions of suppressing his emotions, right? Even more. Maybe even thought of as cold and emotionless because he's withdrawing from social interactions and he is continuing to avoid seeking help. Now, his actions are creating his results of increased stress, isolated relationships, because he's not open and honest about how he's feeling and what he's going through. And his results end up reinforcing a false belief of, I'm strong when I handle things alone. But that also means he's isolated and unsupported. So these are examples I wanted to show you of how our beliefs shaped by our past influences our thoughts, emotions, actions, and results, and that the results we get then reinforce our beliefs, doubling down and creating a cycle of loneliness, isolation, a very lackluster life, possibly burnout. And when you reflect on becoming not self-aware around this, because this is really where it's in your court, the ball is in your court. When you reflect on who was I to become the person that I am today, what were my experiences? What did I learn growing up? How did I respond to things? What are my beliefs around things? When you reflect on that, you become more self-aware around it. You start to understand your patterns. And then you can begin to identify areas where you need to grow and change. And when I say change, it's not about you changing for someone else. I want you to think about this. It's not about you changing for someone else, because there are times in relationships, I've talked to people, even myself, I went through a self-development journey. My husband didn't go through a self-development journey. I did. It's not about changing him, or changing for him. It's about, I did the inner work for me, right? It's doing the inner work so that you heal from within, so that what you reflect out to the world is love and light. And that the way we feel about ourselves, if we are feeling not worthy or deserving, and we're stressed and anxious all the time, and we're lonely and we're isolating ourselves, we're reflecting that out to the world, and the world is reflecting that back to us, because that is the state of being that we're in, right? But when you take control, because you have that control, go back and look, start asking yourself those probing questions, get to the core of who you are, who you were, to understand who you are today, so that you can then start reshaping and reframing your beliefs and your thought processes, so you can step into being the human that you want to be. So the best way to know yourself is to take time to reflect on your past experiences, so you can identify the beliefs that have shaped your thoughts and your behaviors, so that you can consider how your beliefs have influenced your emotions and your actions, and the results you've been getting over out to the world will reflect back the life that you want to live. It will reflect back the things that you're looking for in life, because you will start to open yourself up to new opportunities, relationships, creating that community. So I want to give you some areas for improvement to help you to start building that map. As I said, it first starts with you taking that really necessary stroll back through time, getting to know the person that you were, so that you can understand how that shaped you into becoming the person that you are, so that you can start making changes with your life, so that you can start showing up as that version of you that you know you want to be, based on limiting beliefs that are holding you back. So there's some things I want to talk about. Personal goals, for example. Personal goals are crucial for growth and fulfillment. They give you a sense of direction and purpose, helping you to focus your energy and resources on what truly matters to you. So your mindset plays a significant role in setting and achieving your personal goals, right? Again, that's why I say taking that stroll back first, so you can start reframing those old limiting beliefs, changing those belief patterns into ones that support you rather than keeping you stuck and keeping you from moving forward. When you have that positive growth oriented mindset, it's going to help you to see challenges as opportunities and motivate you to persist in the face of setbacks. It's going to allow you to be able to say, I am worthy and deserving. I can do better, and that's okay. This isn't a failure. This is a lesson that I can learn from. What was right about it? What did go right about it? Looking for the positives, For instance, if you might have a goal to improve your health. Positive mindset's going to be habits, even when it's difficult, right? I know we all fall off, especially, people get around this time of year, they start thinking about their health. The holidays are coming up. There's going to be a lot of food involved. A lot of people are going to be really stressed about that, because at the end of the year, then they're going to be beating themselves up for how much they ate and how much weight they gained. And then they're going to get onto that cycle of, I got to join a gym, and they end up at the gym, and the gym memberships are great in the beginning. All of these places, they're happy. They've got all these new members, and people are in the beginning, they start going and they're committed. And for the first couple of weeks, they're committed. And then what ends up happening is they start to fall off, because they're not seeing the opportunity. If you gain 5 or 10 pounds over the holidays, you're not instantly going to lose or 10 pounds over 2 weeks of being at the gym. It just isn't going to happen. And if you're doing weight training, which is highly recommended as well, part of your workout, is that you're going to be building muscle. Muscle is going to transform your fat's going to be transformed into muscle, and you might feel like you gained some weight when in fact you're just transitioning your fat into muscle. But you have to also understand too, part of the gaining of weight could be that you are hungrier because your body now needs the fuel to be able to work out. And so you have to understand, okay, what am I fueling my body with? What am I eating? Am I eating just for the sake of eating because I want that burger and fries instead of maybe eating something healthier? Or maybe I'm having that late night snack. I'm having ice cream and cookies at 11 p.m. and then going to bed. You know, I mean, you have to really oral health, right? You're not just looking, and I'm not saying you can't have those things in moderation, but it's learning to understand that you can't just lose 5 or 10 pounds, 30 pounds in 2 weeks like that. Unless, and if you feel like starving yourself is going to do it, guess what? That's not going to help either, because your body will go into starvation mode, meaning it will turn on the switch to store the fat. So you have your body fighting back. Okay. So I just want you to think about that. Let's talk about financial goals. You might have beliefs around money that are significantly impacting your financial success and stability. If you believe money is hard to come by, you might subconsciously sabotage your efforts to earn and save, right? So to change your money mindset, you have to adopt a mindset that views money as a tool for creating value and achieving goals that can lead to better financial decisions and outcomes. Yeah. So if you deserve financial stability, you'll be more likely to seek opportunities to increase your income and manage your finances effectively. You're also going to look at your money in a way that you're going to monitor how you spend, right? You're going to look at all of the things that you might be frivolously spending on. And maybe you are a retail therapy shopper, and maybe you have things in your closet that still have the tag. I can relate to that. I'm putting my hand up because that was me for a long time, retail therapy shopping, coming home with bags of things, to the point where I was hiding my purchases from my husband because I was just in that retail therapy, but I didn't want him to see because I felt ashamed. Do you understand where I'm coming with that? So it's something really to really think about. So if you believe responsibility, you're going to find ways to seek opportunities to increase your income, to manage your finances more effectively. You're going to start managing your money with more respect. And I think that's where I had to learn, is being respectful of the money that I was making. Now let's talk about maybe your career growth. A growth mindset is essential for career development because it encourages continuous learning, adaptability, and resilience, which are key to career advancement. So if you believe in your ability to grow and improve, that can lead to proactive behaviors like seeking new skills, networking, taking on challenging projects, again, community, learning from each other. Never burn a bridge. I always believe that my entire life. I've been in the industry of law. As I said, part of what I do, support a team of lawyers and paralegals, but it's my own business. But I never burn a bridge. And I've been, as I said, over 4 decades. I can go back to any place I've worked and be able to not have to worry about having burnt a bridge. Well, let me just be transparent. There might be 1 or 2 places that I wouldn't go back to and talk to those specific people. But every job I left being, the person that I am, and not going out, guns blazing, as an example. If you aspire to be in a leadership position, as an example as well, a growth mindset is going to motivate you to develop the necessary skills and then take initiative. So that's important to think about. Now let's talk about the giving back, the legacy goals, because I know a lot of people want to give back. Your mindset will influence the legacy you leave behind, both personally and professionally. So a positive mindset is going to inspire you to create that lasting impact for your family, your community, and the industry that you're in, right? If you have that positive mindset around what I want to give back. Thinking about your legacy will encourage you to consider long-term goals and the values you want to pass on. So if you want to be remembered for your continued contributions to your community, A mindset focused on service and giving back is going to guide your actions. So when you think about that, what is it to give back? Like, what is the legacy you want to leave behind? Do you want to leave behind, as an example, around self-care? I really feel like taking care of yourself is important. So leading by example, taking care, being that person who teaches your children that external validation is not going to provide you with your worthiness, that you provide your worthiness by you believing in yourself and going out and looking at things looking for solutions, allowing failures to come into your life and learning from them, and always being proactive and seeking and going after and growing and becoming that person, making sure that you take time for yourself so you protect your time and energy, learning how to say no or not right now, what's the time frame, being able to work with people. You can still do that. You don't have to say no. You can say not right now if you have a project and someone needs your help, but you can't do it right now. You can always say, I can really help you, but I can't do it right now because I'm working on this project. What's the timeline for it? Okay. So you need it by Friday. So today is Tuesday. I can really work on it tomorrow with you because I'm finishing this up today and I can really dive into it with you tomorrow. Does that work? And being able to actually be proactive in that's going to make you feel better. It's going to make them feel like you're supportive, but it's also, again, not about you seeking external validation for your actions. It's about you supporting yourself. So you're going to be teaching your kids how to do this for themselves so that they grow up to be confident going out into the world and being able to take care of themselves, and they don't become that perfectionist and they don't become that person who doesn't ask for help, leading to isolation and loneliness, right? They actually learn that community is a supportive tool, that they surround themselves with really good people that they go to, and that they don't have to look at, as an example, money as a struggle, but they can look at as money as a tool to advance specific things, and that it's always there, and that to honor money by respecting it and not looking at money as something that they have to grab after, but something that is there to support them on their life journey. Okay. So again, if you want to be remembered for your contributions in life, then your mindset focus on service and giving back is going to guide your actions, right? So think about what that looks like. So here's a simple framework for identifying goals. To identify your personal, financial, professional, legacy goals, use the SMART: measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Okay. So the application of this would be to write down a goal for each area and ensure it meets the SMART criteria. For example, maybe you have a personal goal to improve your physical fitness by exercising 30 minutes daily, 5 days a week for the next 3 months. Okay. So that could be your goal. And then you figure out, okay, well, what does that look like? How can I put that into my schedule? Putting it on your time. By the way, I feel like putting self-care on your calendar is a smart move because it shows that you are prioritizing yourself and holding yourself accountable to it. That's the big key here, is making sure that you do it, that it's right there in black and white for you to see. So it's not something like, oh, I forgot about it. It's right there for you to see. So if that's going to improve your physical fitness, you have a 3-month goal to improve your physical fitness by exercising 30 minutes daily, 5 days a week, that is your goal and your strategy. And how do you insert that into your calendar? Maybe you have a financial goal to save $500 a month for the next year to build an emergency fund. So what does that look like, right? Well, maybe you have to take a look at your spending habits. Maybe you're buying $5 coffees twice a day, and, looking at what does that add up to, right? And then you're thinking, oh, well, that's a lot of money. I could actually take that and start putting that towards saving. Oh, do I need to go and do retail therapy? Look at maybe I can sell some of that, put that into consignment, some of the clothes that still have tags on them that I'm not using, right? Oh, it's like that money I can use and put that into savings. So finding ways to actually save is just becoming proactive and looking for the solutions. Maybe you have a professional goal to complete a leadership training program within the next 6 months. So what does that look like? Okay, then you have to go back and look, okay, well, what is the leadership training that I want to do? Like what's the time frame? Like how many hours a day is it going to, or like how many hours is it going to take for me to do this? What's it going to cost me? How am I going to fit it into my lifestyle, right? It's just looking at this, looking for this, the things that are going to help you to find how to make that a reality. And then maybe you have a legacy goal of volunteering 10 hours for the next year. Okay, so what's that charity? Where do I want to be? How is it going to fit into my monthly, this monthly goal of 10 hours a month? How far away is it? How do I get there? All of the things. You need to think about all of the things. So just think about like, what is your goal? And when you apply it, is making sure like it's smart, right? The SMART goal approach of smart, achievable, the SMART goal of, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Like you have to think about all of that, how it fits into your goals. So some common mindset barriers I want to talk about include the fear of failure, self-doubt, and fixed mindset beliefs, feeling like, oh, this is the way it is. I'm not changing because this is how it is. So to overcome these barriers, you want to practice self-compassion, challenge your negative thoughts, and cultivate a growth mindset. So for example, if you fear failure, reframe it as a learning opportunity, right? If you doubt your abilities, remind yourself of past successes and the skills you've developed. I feel like one of the ways to do this, to really like to double down on reminding yourself of past successes, is when you have a win, to actually take a moment to reflect on it and to celebrate it. So if that means you have 3 months that your goal was to work out, say you have that goal of working out for the next 3 months, 30 days, 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week for the next 3 months, and you've completed week 1. Celebrate it. Don't just mark it off as done. Celebrate it, because you're going to allow yourself to start feeling the good feelings like, oh, I did that. I'm able to do this. I'm capable. That's going to remind you like, oh, especially if you get into week 4 and you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel it. Oh, I don't have the time. Remind yourself, oh, I was able to do it then, and I was able to work it in and look at my schedule. So being able to remind yourself, okay? And then to create that action plan, you want to based on your reflections and your identified goals, you want to create a simple plan. So you start by writing down the specific steps that you need to take for each goal. And for each goal, you're going to list the first 3 actions you're going to take, and ensure that these actions, again, are small, that they're manageable, and they're aligned with your overall objectives, and that there's something you're going to commit to, because you don't want to commit to something that you're not going to do, okay? Because that all that's reinforce your belief that you're not worthy and deserving. So start with something small. If a really big goal is too much, maybe you're going to say, for the next week, I'm going to work out 3 days a week for 30 minutes. Start small. And if you finish that week, celebrate it. And you're like, interesting. How can I actually do that again? So then you repeat another week, 3 days a week, 30 minutes each day. And you were able to mark that in. And you start feeling better about yourself. Okay, how do I then, go further? So this is what I want you to think about each time, right? Look at your goal, making sure that it is something that you're going to commit to, and start small. For the financial goal, say you wanted to save, like, again, the 500. Maybe 500 is too much. Maybe it's $100. So you set up a savings account. You create that monthly transfers to your savings account. That way it's like you don't even have to worry about it, because each, whatever that date is that you've set aside for it to automatically go from your checking to your savings, you've now put yourself into that $100 a month savings, and you don't have to think about it. But you've got that monthly budget. You know that out of that monthly budget, $100 is going into savings. So I've created a worksheet to help you with this. I'm going to link it in the comments once I finish this workshop, so you can download it and take action, because taking action is very important, so that you can start to really build the life that you desire. Okay, so let's do a recap. Today we've explored the importance of mindset and personal growth. We learned about the emotional trigger cycle. Experiences create beliefs motivate our thoughts influence our emotions dictate our actions produce our results, and our results reinforce our beliefs. We learned that reflecting on our past experiences will help identify growth gaps, so that you can reframe your limiting beliefs into more empowering ones, so that you can then set personal, financial, professional, legacy goals that align with the life that you want to live. And I believe that there are so many clues in the past that can help us if we allow ourselves to take a look. Remember, your past doesn't define who you are. Let me repeat that. Your past does not define who you are. It's just a part of your journey, part of your story, and you have the ability to rewrite your story. I also provided some examples to help you to start the thinking process of where and how your limiting beliefs are dictating how you're living your life. And I hope that you take the time to really dig into this process when you download the worksheet, which I will, as I promised, link. So to the end of our workshop, remember, your mindset is incredibly powerful. It shapes your beliefs, influences your thoughts, it drives your emotions, it dictates your actions, it produces your results, and reinforces your beliefs. So by understanding and changing your mindset, again, you can change your mind. You change your life by doing this. You can achieve significant personal growth and overcome challenges. Reflecting on your past experiences and identifying limiting beliefs is the first step in the process. Reframing those beliefs into empowering ones will allow you to take control of your life and create the positive outcomes you desire. I want to thank you all for attending this workshop today. Your being here has made this session truly meaningful for me because it truly is my passion to help you live the life you desire with confidence and joy and gratitude for each and every day of your life. I encourage you to take what you've learned today and apply it to your life. I also encourage you to not only reflect on the questions discussed, but to also work through the worksheet and commit to taking actionable steps towards your goals. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort and a positive mindset, you can make remarkable progress. I'm excited for you as you step into the new you, and I wish you much success in your journey to your best life. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.